Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we dive into complex research, pull out those key insights, and really give you the tools to stay ahead.
And today, wow, we're doing something really ambitious. Think of it as a cosmic audit. We've got sources, including a cutting-edge machine learning analysis looking at energy use, and also some foundational cosmological theories.
Right, putting it all together to give us humanity's sort of technological report card.
Exactly.
So our mission today, it's not just about defining the Kardashev scale, that benchmark for civilizations based on energy. We're going deeper. We're synthesizing these advanced projections.
To figure out where we are right now.
Yeah.
And crucially, where we might be headed by, say, 2060.
And the starting point is, well, it's pretty humbling, isn't it?
It really is. The sources are clear.
Yeah.
Right now, human civilization, we measure in at approximately type 0.72 civilization.
0.7276. So definitely not a type 1 planetary civilization yet.
Not even close. The study uses this phrase. It calls us but a mere sapling that has just budded.
A sapling. A sapling that probably thinks it's already a giant redwood. Okay, let's unpack this. What does it really mean to be a type 0.72 civilization? And how on earth did we calculate such a specific number in this, vast cosmic context?
Okay, so to get that number, you have to go back to 1964. Soviet astrophysicist Nikolai Kardashev.
Right.
His original idea was to classify civilizations based purely, and this is key, purely on how much energy they could harness. It's like the ultimate yardstick for technological maturity.
Yeah, it cuts through all the noise, doesn't it? Politics, culture, philosophy. It just asks, can you control your environment? Can you control energy?
Precisely. And his original scale had these three huge distinct categories. Type 1 was the planetary civilization.
Okay, planetary, what does that entail?
That's a civilization that can harness and use all the energy available on its home planet. Think solar, winds, geothermal, tides, whatever fossil fuels are left, maybe. Everything.
Complete mastery of the home turf's resources, no longer relying on just one finite source like we are now.
Exactly. Then Type 2, that's the stellar civilization. And this leap is, well, it's astronomical, literally.
Stellar. So the whole star system.
Yep. They control and harness all the energy pouring out from their host star, plus everything else in their solar system.
Yep.
The scale of energy management is just, it's hard for us to even imagine.
And Type 3, I think that's where my brain starts to short circuit.
Type 3 is the galactic civilization. They control the energy output of every single star and system within their entire galaxy.
An entire galaxy, the logistics, the tech, it's beyond science fiction almost.
It really pushes the boundaries of thought. But, the sources do point out something important about Kardashev's original types.
What's that?
They were described as lackluster in quantitative presentation. Big categories, but no way to measure the steps in between.
Ah, so no decimal points. You were either type 1 or not quite type 1, no 0.72s.
Exactly. And that's where Carl Sagan came in. He gave it the mathematical backbone it needed.
Sagan, of course. He created that continuous index, right? The K value.
That's the one. His formula, K frac log P610, directly links the index K to P, the power consumption in watts. That's how we get precise numbers, like our current 0.7276. Okay, watts. Let's put these benchmarks into perspective, because the numbers get huge fast. What's the power level for Type 1.0?
The benchmark for Type 1.0 is 1016 watts.
10 to the 16. That's 10 quadrillion watts. How does that compare to what we use now?
Well, right now, global energy consumption is around $1 6 times 1013 watts-ish.
Okay, so 1016 versus $1 6 times 1013.
Yeah.
That means we need to generate and use something like 600 times more energy than we do today to hit Type 1.
Over 600 times, yeah. It's the difference between, say, powering a city and harnessing the total energy of massive hurricanes or tapping directly into major geothermal vents all over the planet constantly.
That's a huge gap. And Type 2.0?
Type 2.0, the stellar scale, jumps to 1020 watts.
10 to the 26. That's
Yeah.
10 billion times more powerful than Type 1.
10 million times, correct. It's roughly the total energy output, the luminosity of our own sun, capturing all of that. Wow. And Type 3.0, the galactic scale.
That's 10 watts, another factor of 10 billion times Type 2.
So compared to Type 1, that's 10 billion times more energy.
The scales are just staggering. And that's why our current position, crawling from 0.72 towards 1.0, feels so incredibly slow and difficult. We're right at the very, very bottom of this cosmic ladder.
It's interesting, the scale has also been extended downwards, right, to Type 0.0.
Yeah, that's a useful anchor point. Type 0.0 is pegged at 166 watts, a million watts.
A million watts. What does that represent?
It's considered the biological scale. It's roughly the maximum metabolic power output of the largest animals on Earth, like a blue whale. Maybe around 500,000 watts, actually.
So type zero point zero is where energy use shifts from just biology to organized, technological society.
Exactly. It's the baseline where collective, structured energy use begins. And cosmically speaking, we're only just above the energy output of one really big whale.
Puts things in perspective. And looking way up, there's even a theoretical type 4.0.
Right, 1040 watts. That would be harnessing the energy of the entire observable universe, which is, frankly, just a concept to remind us how young and small we are.
Absolutely. But what's really fascinating, you mentioned this, the scale isn't just about power, is it?
No, and this is the key insight from the sources. Civilization isn't just about burning energy. It's also about information, complexity, what you build, what you do with the energy you have.
So we can look at other metrics, kind of Kardashev-like scales, to get a fuller picture.
Precisely. We can measure cyclical power, which we've discussed. But let's look at information.
Information capacity. How much data we generate and store?
Right. So a type 0.0 information civilization would be defined arbitrarily at 166 bits, $1 million.
Okay, where were we around, say, 2015, according to the estimates?
Okay, so around 2015, estimates put Earth's total stored information at roughly 1021 bits. And that's assuming a pretty huge 50% annual growth rate in data storage.
10 to the 21 bits. Where does that put us on the information scale? TKI word.
That calculation gives us a GI total of approximately 140.
1.50. So we're already a type 1.5 civilization in terms of information.
Yes. Our ability to create, store, and process information is already significantly beyond the theoretical baseline for a type 1 society.
But our power level, KP tile, is stuck at 0.7276. That's a huge mismatch. What does that imbalance tell you?
It tells us something really critical, I think. It suggests we're incredibly good at generating complexity data abstract systems, but we're fundamentally lagging in harnessing the raw power needed to actually run all that complexity sustainably.
Like having a supercomputer, but only enough electricity to power the keyboard light.
That's a great analogy. We've built this vast digital world, this enormous library of information, but we're struggling to keep the lights on with, 19th and 20th century energy tech for the most part.
Okay, what about other scales? Population, maybe. Raw knowledge.
Around 2015, Earth's population was about 7.38 billion people.
And the type 1.0 benchmark for population is 10N, or 10 billion people.
Correct. So doing the math, that puts our dollar at 99.
0.99. So we were basically right on the cusp of being a type 1 population civilization.
Pretty much. Our ability to sustain a large population, our agriculture, logistics, relatively mature approaching type 1 capability, even if the energy foundation is weak.
And the last one mentioned is massive constructions, KCLers, all the physical stuff we've built.
Yeah, roads, cities, satellites, everything humans have constructed. The estimates for around 2015 put the total mass at something like $3 times 1013 net tons.
3 times 10 to the 13 tons. And on the construction scale.
That works out to a KCI of about 0.75.
Okay, so let's recap that composite picture. Information KI is $1.50, way ahead. Population calorie months is $0.99, almost there. Construction KCI is $0.75, lagging a bit, and power KPC is the lowest at 0.7276.
Exactly, that's us. A massive, information-rich, densely populated global society that's fundamentally bottlenecked by its immature energy systems. We're struggling to power our own success, essentially.
And that picture, this type 1.5 information society stuck with type 0.72 power, that leads us right into the core of the new research, projecting our energy future to 2060. Now, the researchers specifically said simple linear projections weren't good enough. Why not?
Well, because the global energy system is it's a tangled mess. It's incredibly complex, full of these nonlinear feedback loops. Simple regression, it just assumes things grow steadily, proportionally.
Like if GDP goes up 2%, energy use goes up, say, 1.5%, predictably.
Right, but reality isn't like that. You might have GDP rise, plus a heat wave, plus a geopolitical crisis affecting fuel supply. And these things interact in ways that a straight line just can't capture. Think about massive air conditioning demand surges during heat waves. That's not a smooth linear increase.
So it's a multidimensional problem, and they needed better tools.
Exactly, which is why they turned to more advanced machine learning models.
Which ones did they use?
Specifically, they used random forest, RF, and also ARIMA, which stands for Autoregressive Integrated Moving Average.
Okay, why those two?
Well, random forest is really good at figuring out which factors are most important and how they interact, even with noisy data. It handles that complexity well. RMI is more for time series forecasting. It looks at past trends, seasonality, bumps in the data to project forward.
So combining them gives a more robust, non-linear prediction.
That's the idea. A much more nuanced forecast than just drawing a straight line based on past decades.
And what factors did these models chew on? What drives our energy consumption?
They looked at 11 key parameters. Things like GDP, total population, how urbanized we are, average global temperature, CO2 levels, stuff like that. Economic factors, social factors, climate factors.
And what did the models spit out? What really matters?
The results were, well, pretty stark. Energy consumption is overwhelmingly tied to economic and social growth. The environmental factors, less so currently.
Okay, give us the ranking. What's top of the list?
Number one, by a significant margin, is GDP, gross domestic product.
Our economic output.
Yeah. Then comes total population, and third is urban population. How many people live in cities?
How much more important was GDP than population?
The analysis showed GDP's impact was 6.4 times more significant than total population's impact.
6.4 times. That's huge. So it's not just more people, it's more economic activity per person or overall that really drives the energy demand. Industrialization, manufacturing, trade.
Precisely. The pursuit of economic growth, especially based on the current global industrial model, is just incredibly energy intensive. That strong link means our energy future is pretty much locked in if economic growth remains the absolute top priority globally.
But hang on, if GDP is the main driver and our GDP growth still heavily relies on, let's face it, fossil fuel-powered industry, does that mean all the climate policies and agreements aren't really changing the underlying energy structure yet?
That seems to be what the data suggests, unfortunately. Right now in these models, the environmental parameters, things like rising temperatures or CO2 concentrations, they showed low predictive impact on the overall energy consumption trend.
So economics is still trumping environment in predicting energy use.
Now, yes, they aren't the primary limiting factors yet. But the researchers add a crucial warning.
Which is?
That if our energy structure doesn't change, if we stay stuck on that 80% fossil fuel dependency, then those environmental factors will inevitably become critical constraints, either through catastrophic climate impacts forcing change, or through sudden, drastic policy interventions down the line.
So the economy rules the energy demand until the environmental consequences become too big to ignore.
That seems to be the dynamics. Okay, given these drivers, GDP first, population second, what's the actual prediction for 2060?
Wait, the bottom line, how much energy will we be using and what's our Kardashev score?
The projection is for global energy consumption to reach somewhere between 928 and 940 exajoules EJ in 2060.
Exajoules? How much growth is that from now?
It's significant increase in total energy used, over 50% growth in about 40 years.
But what does it mean for our Kardashev score? We started at 0.7276.
By 2060, the projection puts humanity at only type 0.7474.
0.7474, wow. From 0.7276 to 0.7474 in 4 decades. That feels incredibly slow.
It is an incredibly modest trajectory. If you calculate the average annual growth rate on the Kardashev index itself, it works out to a tiny 0.077%.
Less than 0.1% per year on the scale.
And here's the really concerning part mathematically. While our total energy consumption, P in watts, is going up, the slope of the Kardashev index K is actually decreasing.
Wait, decreasing. So we're progressing even slower on the scale as time goes on relative to the energy we burn.
That's what the trend suggests. We're getting less Kardashev bang for our energy buck, so to speak.
Why would that be?
Well, it could be that more and more energy is going into maintaining complex but inefficient systems, or perhaps dealing with the consequences of past growth, like climate mitigation or resource depletion efforts, rather than driving fundamental technological advancement that boosts our overall planetary control, maybe powering legacy systems or even, conflict.
So we're burning more fuel just to stay in the same relative place or even slide back slightly in terms of progress efficiency.
That's one interpretation of a decreasing slope for K, yeah.
Okay. With this glacial pace, what does it mean for reaching Type 1.0, that first big milestone of planetary mastery?
The timelines become, well, daunting. If you just did a simple linear projection using historical growth rates, maybe assuming like a 1% annual growth from 2015 onwards, which is optimistic,
Yeah.
you might hit Type 1.0 around the year 2654.
2654. Still centuries away.
But if this slower decreasing slope trend predicted by the more complex models holds true,
Then what?
then reaching Type 1.0 could take multiple millennia.
Millennia. Just to get control of our own planet, that leaves us vulnerable for a very, very long time.
It absolutely does. And the researchers are really clear about the main culprit holding us back.
Let me guess. Fossil fuels.
Yep. That stubborn 80% reliance. They call it pernicious to humanity's future. Because it's unsustainable, it causes immense environmental damage, and crucially, it's not driving the kind of rapid technological acceleration needed to actually break out of this Type Zero trap. We're burning through our finite inheritance to power a machine that's slowing down on the cosmic progress chart.
Okay, that picture's pretty bleak. Slow progress, dependence on dirty fuel, potentially millennia away from Type 1. This leads right into that concept you hear about in cosmology. The Great Filter.
Exactly. The Great Filter theory tries to explain the Fermi paradox. If the universe is so vast and old, where is everybody? The theory suggests there's some massive hurdle, some filter, that stops civilizations from reaching advanced stages like Type 2 or 3.
And the chilling question is that filter behind us, or is it still ahead?
Many theorists, and the sources we looked at lean this way, suspect the biggest filter might still be ahead. Specifically, this dangerous transition phase from Type 0 to Type 1.
Why is that transition so dangerous?
Because it's precisely when a civilization develops technologies powerful enough to destroy itself before it achieves the wisdom and stability to manage them. Think nuclear war fighting over dwindling resources. Think runaway climate change caused by the very energy sources powering early growth. Maybe even uncontrolled artificial intelligence.
Or simply running out of the easy-to-get fossil fuels before the next energy source, like fusion, is fully operational and scaled up.
That's a huge risk, too. You hit an energy cliff. The sources strongly imply that this Type 0, Type 1 bottleneck is where civilizations face their existential test. And our current trajectory, prioritizing GDP fueled by carbon, seems to be steering us right towards several of those potential filter mechanisms.
So how do we jump the curve? How do we avoid getting filtered out?
We need a revolution, an energy revolution. And the sources point pretty clearly to the most promising candidate, nuclear fusion.
Fusion, the power source of stars. Clean, virtually limitless fuel from seawater. No long-lived radioactive waste. It sounds like the perfect solution.
It's the closest thing we have to a technological silver bullet for the energy side of the equation. And the timing is interesting. You've got ITER, the big international fusion experiment.
Right, in France.
They're expecting their first full-power plasma tests around 2025, maybe a bit later. Then probably a decade of intense testing and engineering. Commercial deployment, if all goes well, might start becoming feasible around 2060.
Around 2060, right when those ML models predict we'll be hitting that slow 0.7474 mark.
Exactly. Fusion could arrive just in time to potentially change that trajectory dramatically.
So what impact could fusion have? If it starts rolling out around 2060, how does that change the Kardashev forecast?
The researchers actually modeled this. They looked at a scenario where fusion's arrival triggers an exponential growth spurt in energy capability, kind of like what happened during the Second Industrial Revolution with electricity and combustion engines.
An acceleration phase.
Yeah. If that happens, the K-index, our Kardashev score, could significantly deviate upwards from that slow 0.7474 path, instead of hitting maybe 0.7534 by 2100 on the slow track.
With fusion.
With a fusion-driven acceleration, we might reach approximately Type 0.7719 by the end of this century.
0.7719. That's a noticeably bigger jump in just 40 years. That's nearly double the progress compared to the non-fusion scenario.
It's a significant boost. It suggests fusion really could be the key technology to help us break through that Type 0 bottleneck faster and start seriously climbing towards Type 1.
Okay, so fusion gets us accelerating again. If that happens, maybe we reach Type 1.0 around, say, the year 2200 instead of millennia from now.
That's the optimistic timeline, yeah. But achieving Type 1.0 is about way more than just having fusion power plants. It's total planetary control.
Right. What does that really look like? What capabilities define a true Type 1 civilization?
Well, first, energy-wise. Fusion completely replaces fission, offering clean, safe, unlimited power. But it's more than that. It's harnessing all usable energy.
Like what?
Like massive geothermal operations, drilling deep into magma chambers at tectonic hotspots, fully exploiting tidal and wave power globally, capturing the maximum energy from the moon's gravitational pull, essentially vacuuming up every available watt the planet offers naturally.
So energy abundance. What else?
Active control, true weather manipulation, being able to generate rainfall precisely where needed, eliminating droughts, dissipating hurricanes and typhoons before they make landfall, preventing tsunamis, basically managing the planet's climate and geological systems actively.
Planetary engineering, essentially. And what about on the information or societal side?
You'd likely see the beginnings of a true technological singularity. Things like widespread brain-computer interfaces, maybe sending complex data, like a video just by thinking it. And pervasive wireless electricity. Imagine all your devices, everywhere, always being at a 100% charge without ever plugging them in.
That's a world transformed. That's mastery. Okay, so that's type 1, maybe achievable around 2200 if fusion pans out. Let's leap ahead now. Type 2.0 stellar control. Projected maybe around the year 10,000? That's a whole different game.
Entirely different. A Type 2 civilization has mastered its entire star system. They're essentially immune to extinction events that threaten single planets because they're multiplanetary.
How many people are we talking?
Potentially hundreds of billions, living across maybe dozens of planets, moons, and artificial habitats throughout the system.
And they can manipulate their environment on a system scale?
Oh yeah, they could literally move planets or asteroids, nudge Earth's orbit slightly outward if the sun gets too hot, redirect comets for resources. They are the masters of their celestial neighborhood.
And the energy source is the star itself, right? Our sun fuses 600 million tons of hydrogen every second. How do you capture that?
Megastructures. The most plausible concept is the Dyson swarm.
Not a solid sphere.
Probably not a single solid shell that has huge engineering problems. Freeman Dyson envisioned more of a swarm. Trillions of independent solar collectors, power stations, and maybe habitats all orbiting the star in a dense cloud, capturing a significant fraction of its output.
A swarm sounds more scalable. Build it piece by piece.
Exactly. More practical, easier to manage heat. You gradually enclose the star.
Okay, now for the ultimate leap. Type 3.0, galactic control. The time frame here is just vast, 100,000 to maybe 1,000,000 years from now.
Or even longer. This is a civilization that commands the energy resources of its entire galaxy. Billions of stars.
What kind of capabilities would they need, besides unimaginable energy?
They almost certainly have conquered aging and mortality. Practical immortality, maybe by transferring consciousness into non-biological forms, or incredibly advanced biological regeneration.
And travel. A galaxy is hundreds of thousands of light years across.
That's the absolute key. They must have overcome the speed of light barrier. Some form of faster-than-light travel or communication, like warp drive or maybe manipulating space-time, wormholes, something. Otherwise, they can't function as a cohesive galactic entity.
Without FTL, they'd just be countless isolated Type 2 systems, unable to interact across the void in meaningful timescales.
Precisely. The speed of light limit has to be broken for Type 3 to be truly galactic.
And the ultimate energy collector for a Type 3 civilization, or maybe a very advanced Type 2, is the full Dyson sphere.
Right. The hypothetical monolithic shell completely enclosing a star, capturing 100% of its energy.
The engineering challenge there is staggering. How much material would that take?
Estimates suggest that building a sphere just 1 meter thick around our sun would require dismantling planets. You'd need materials equivalent to maybe 40 times the entire mass of Earth.
40 Earths worth of mass. So they'd have to literally take apart planets like Mercury, Venus, maybe asteroid belts just for the raw materials.
Yes. Planetary scale engineering becomes resource harvesting on an unbelievable scale. Planets become quarries.
It's a bit terrifying. Is there any hint, any observation that such things might actually exist out there?
Well, there are anomalies. The most famous one recently is Cabby's star, also called KIC 8462852, or the WTF star.
Right, about 1,400 light years away. What was weird about it?
Astronomers saw its light dimming periodically, but in really strange, irregular ways. Not like a planet passing in front, which causes small, regular dips. Tabby's star sometimes dimmed by huge amounts, up to 22% and at random intervals.
22%, that's enormous. What could cause that?
Exactly. Natural explanations, dust clouds, comet swarms, they don't really fit the data well. It led to serious, though speculative, consideration that we might be seeing. Well, an alien megastructure under construction.
Like parts of a Dyson swarm periodically blocking the light as they orbit?
That's one of the hypotheses. Immense artificial objects orbiting the star in a complex, non-uniform way. It's not proof, of course, but it's currently one of the most intriguing explanations for that bizarre light curve. It makes you wonder if Type 2 construction projects are indeed happening out there.
And the possibility of things like Dyson swarms being built brings us right back to that huge, unsettling question, the Fermi paradox.
Yeah, if the universe is billions of years old with trillions of galaxies, billions of potentially habitable planets, and if civilizations can reach Type 2 or 3, then where is everybody? Why the silence?
It's profoundly strange, the lack of contact, the lack of obvious signals. It's evidence in itself, isn't it?
It forces you into uncomfortable territory. There are really only two main possibilities, and both are kind of terrifying.
Option one, we are truly fundamentally alone. Maybe life is incredibly rare, or intelligent life is, or technological civilization is a fluke.
Which feels statistically unlikely given the sheer numbers, but it's possible.
Option two, we are not alone, but there's a reason nobody's talking. A reason for the silence.
And that's where things get darker. We talked about the Great Filter. Maybe civilizations just don't make it past the Type 1 stage. But there's another chilling explanation.
The dark forest theory.
Exactly. Popularized by the science fiction author Lucy Simpson. But the core idea has been around. It reframes the universe not as a potential community, but as a dark, dangerous forest.
How does the analogy work?
Every civilization is like a hunter, hiding silently in the dark forest. You know, there might be other hunters out there. Some might be harmless, some might be predators. But you can't know their intentions from afar. Communication is risky. Revealing your location could be fatal.
Because if another hunter spots you, they face a dilemma. Should they try to communicate? Or is it safer to just eliminate the potential threat?
The ruthless logic of the dark forest is that survival favors paranoia. The cost of making friendly contact and being wrong, being destroyed, is infinitely higher than the cost of staying hidden or launching a preemptive strike against anyone you detect.
So the optimal strategy for long-term survival is stay silent. If you see someone else, eliminate them before they see you, just in case.
It's a grim calculus. But it would explain universal silence perfectly. The silence isn't emptiness. It's the sound of everyone successfully hiding or having been eliminated. Every complex intelligence eventually learns that broadcasting its existence is suicide.
And humanity. What have we been doing for the last 70 or 80 years?
We've been shouting into the forest. Radio waves, television broadcasts, powerful radar signals, leaking out into space constantly.
One source described it as traipsing into the unknown forest with a boombox.
It's a perfect description. We've been incredibly naive, assuming the forest is friendly or empty. If the dark forest theory holds any water, it's been a colossal mistake.
Even our attempts to listen, like SETI, they seem kind of primitive in this context. We're looking for obvious signals or maybe waste heat from megastructures.
We're like, as another analogy put it, a baby who picked up a phone. We don't know who to call, how the network functions, or even what language anyone else might be speaking. We might be bathed in signals we can't even recognize or decode.
And even if a truly advanced, say, Type 3 civilization did notice us, our little Type 0.72 selves, why would they bother interacting? Especially if the dark forest logic applies.
Exactly. If they're paranoid survivors, they might just observe silently, or worse, see us as a potential future competitor, however distant, and decide to prune the forest.
Or maybe they're not malicious, just indifferent. If they're a million years ahead, dismantling planets for fuel.
They might see us as utterly insignificant, like ants on a patch of dirt they want to build on, or maybe disgusting carbon-based beings, as one source speculated. Why engage with primitive warring creatures still struggling with basic resource management? They might just ignore us, or see us as raw materials themselves.
So indifference or hostility, neither leads to friendly contact.
Not really. And overlaying all of this is the final crushing constraint, the physics of the universe itself, the speed of light.
Right. Even our nearest star, Proxima Centauri, is over 4 light years away. Getting there with current tech would take tens of thousands of years.
It makes interstellar travel incredibly difficult, maybe impossible for civilizations below a certain K level. And even if a Type 3 civilization had FTL, crossing galactic distances still takes time. An attack fleet might take centuries to arrive.
But maybe the bigger isolation isn't just distance, it's the expansion of the universe.
Yes, this is a really profound point. The universe is expanding, and the expansion is accelerating. Distant galaxies are receding from us faster and faster. Fast enough that, according to the sources, roughly 60,000 stars cross beyond our cosmic horizon every second.
60,000 per second, meaning the light from them will never reach us.
Never. They are effectively removed from our observable universe forever. This isn't just about travel time. It's about the universe actively shrinking our potential sphere of contact.
So day by day, the number of civilizations we could ever possibly interact with, even in principle, is decreasing.
Dramatically. It suggests that even if we survive our own challenges, even if the dark forest isn't real, our ultimate fate might just be increasing isolation within our local group of galaxies as the rest of the cosmos accelerates away from us. #outro.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together. What's the big picture takeaway here?
Well, the analysis shows humanity is currently laser-focused on economic growth, GDP, and population. Those are driving our energy consumption upwards. But our actual progress on the Kardashev scale, that measure of true civilizational mastery, is really slow. We're projected to hit just type 0.7474 by 2060.
And that slow progress leaves us stuck right in the danger zone, the potential great filter between Type 0 and Type 1. We're reliant on unsustainable energy, facing climate risks, and desperately needing a breakthrough like fusion just to survive, let alone thrive and reach planetary control.
Right. And all this internal struggle is happening while we're potentially making ourselves a target in a dangerous cosmic neighborhood, according to the dark forest theory. We're fighting over scraps on our own little planet while shouting our existence into a possibly hostile void.
And thinking about those hypothetical Type 3 civilizations, if they're truly hundreds of thousands or millions of years ahead.
Yeah, the idea that they'd mentor us seems unlikely. If they view planets as resources, as the material needed for Dyson spheres, they might see us as just part of the local resources to be cleared or utilized, like finding termites in a log you want to use for building.
So considering our sluggish progress towards Type 1, our potentially dangerous broadcasting habits, the vast indifference or hostility suggested by the cosmic silence, and the universe literally expanding away from us faster than we can travel, it paints a pretty stark picture.
It really does. It leaves you with these two chilling possibilities for our ultimate destiny. Are we headed for extinction, either self-inflicted or imposed by something else out there in the dark? Or are we perhaps doomed to permanent, inescapable isolation, trapped in our corner of the cosmos as the rest of the universe accelerates beyond our reach forever?
That question, isolation or extinction, suddenly makes getting from type 0.7276 to even just 0.7474 feel like the most important challenge humanity has ever faced. It's not just about energy, it's about survival on a cosmic scale.